This time, Oliver didn't hesitate. He nodded and said, "Yes, he looks okay in spirit, but he's lost a lot of weight. I heard that elder Mr. Alexander was hospitalized for 2 months after the spring festival." Sophia raised her eyebrows and cut off a withered leaf. "I haven't heard about this, but he's not young anymore. It's normal for an octogenarian to have some minor illnesses." Oliver said and then said, "The Xie family hasn't given up. I talked to elder Mr. Alexander today. He said he's recently looking for some traditional Chinese prescriptions, saying they're effective for heart disease. He also said he's been trying various channels to find a heart donor and hopes to perform the surgery before the condition worsens further." Sophia sighed and said, "Over the years, the father-in-law doesn't hold any grudges against you. He doesn't avoid anything in front of you and is willing to tell you these things." Oliver smiled faintly and said, "Everyone has forgotten those things from childhood. Now that the person is gone, why dwell on them? By the way, elder Mr. Alexander told me today that they're trying to collect some of Daniel's sperm." But a sneering smile appeared on Sophia's lips. Oliver continued, "Daniel has had this disease since childhood, and it worsened before puberty. He didn't develop well, so they didn't succeed." Sophia finished arranging the flower bouquet and didn't want to continue this topic. She ordered, "Ask someone to move these flowers to the living room. You go and see Noah. That poor boy is being pestered by Mia." Oliver remembered what he had said to Noah at noon and wanted to laugh, but he held it back in front of Sophia and agreed before turning away. When Oliver found Noah was in front of the piano in the large living room with Mia. Ava was resting. Noah wasn't really playing the piano but just teaching Mia finger techniques. When he saw Oliver coming, Noah quickly stood up and looked at Oliver nervously. Oliver's heart skipped a beat, and a faint smile appeared on his lips involuntarily. If it weren't for Mia, Noah would probably apologize to him again. Oliver was still wearing a windbreaker. He had a slender figure and looked extremely good in it. Noah stared at the black gloves on Oliver's hands and lost himself in thought involuntarily. "Big brother, you're back." Mia was still carefree. She lowered her head and pretended to press the piano keys a few times. "How's little cousin?" Oliver didn't answer. Instead, he looked at Noah and said, "Uncles and aunts will come over tonight." Mia didn't look up and explained to Noah, "Most of them are from the second grandfather's family. They don't share the same grandfather with us, but the same great-grandfather." Noah nodded and asked, "Do I need to pay attention to anything?" "You don't need to do anything." There was a look of satisfaction in Oliver's eyes. "Just accept the blessings with me." Mia looked up, first at Oliver then at Noah. Finally, she realized she was redundant. She gave a silly laugh and went upstairs to find someone to do her hair. Oliver looked at Noah. Noah quickly explained, "We just talked in the living room for a while. I didn't go upstairs again." And we didn't be alone together. A small part of Oliver's heart suddenly ached slightly. It wasn't serious, but it was a bit itchy. He tried his best to make his tone gentler. "I know." Oliver looked around, as guests were coming soon. The servants were all busy and there was no one in the living room, so he stepped closer and apologized softly. "What I said at noon was too much. I'm sorry." Noah's face suddenly turned red. He quickly shook his head and said, "No, it's me who didn't think it through." Oliver shook his head and smiled. "No, it's me who got too involved in the act." Noah opened his mouth, but instantly forgot what he was going to say. An uncle's family of Olivers from outside had arrived. Oliver smiled at Noah and said, "Okay, come with me to greet them." Oliver took off his gloves and held Noah's hand. The visitors were from a side branch of the Shin family. Now, neither their social status nor their assets could compare with those of the main branch in the Shin mansion. However, the Shin family members visited each other frequently and had supported each other over the years, so their relationship was quite good. Oliver led Noah to get to know everyone one by one. Noah was polite and amiable, and everyone had a good impression of him. Sophia and Ava also came out to greet them. Sophia was wearing a black cheongsam embroidered with gold today, paired with a diamond brooch. It was simple and elegant. Everyone congratulated her one after another. Sophia smiled and said the same to them. She chatted with her junior uncles and their wives for a while. Most of the people relied on the main branch of the family for a living. No one dared to question Noah's gender and background like Ava did. They mostly flattered the two on their marriage. Oliver accepted all these nice words without missing a single one. "Huh? You think Noah is good looking?" "Yes, I think so too." "Noah has a good personality?" "Of course he does. You're right. He's not an artist who becomes popular overnight by chance. I always believe that when one's strength accumulates to a certain extent, success is inevitable." In front of so many elders, Noah just wanted to find a hole to hide in. Noah really couldn't stand Oliver's serious and earnest praise of him. When no one was paying attention, he quietly tugged at Oliver's corner of the clothes. Unexpectedly, without even looking, Oliver grabbed his hand and continued chatting with others. Noah still had to maintain his composure on the surface and smile from time to time. It was simply unbearable. Dinner timely rescued Noah, although Oliver still let Noah sit beside him. He didn't continue the previous topic. After dinner, everyone chatted and played cards. Oliver was pulled over to play cards. He looked around the large living room, found Noah, and said to him, "Come here." Noah was being pulled by one of Oliver's aunts to chat about this and that. Hearing this, he quickly went over. Oliver asked Noah to sit in his seat. Seeing that those sitting there were either Oliver's uncles or aunts, Noah quickly declined. "You play. I'm actually not very good at playing cards. I'll teach you if you don't know." Oliver pulled over another chair and sat beside Noah, smiling faintly. "Play your cards. If you win, it's yours. If you lose, it's mine." One of Oliver's aunts joked with a smile. "It's the first time I've seen Oliver help someone watch their cards. It's really rare." There was a smile in Oliver's eyes. He said to Noah, "Draw a card." Oliver was sitting beside Noah. To avoid people saying that he was looking at two people's cards, he sat very close to Noah. As he spoke, his breath would gently brush against Noah's face. Oliver had just smoked, and there was still a faint, pungent smell of tobacco on him. Noah suspected that the 2 glasses of red wine he drank at night were a bit strong. Otherwise, why was his head a bit dizzy? Noah really wasn't very good at playing, but there has always been a wonderful rule at the gambling table that newbies have good luck. Sure enough, throughout the night, Noah actually won quite a lot. By the end of the game, Noah didn't even dare to play seriously. Oliver didn't care. The stakes among family members weren't very high. Compared to what people played outside, it might not even be a fraction of that. It was just for fun. No one really cared about winning or losing. He guided Noah and they won from start to finish. When calculating the chips in the end, they actually won almost 30,000. Everyone laughed and counted the money to give to Noah. Noah didn't know if he could accept it and looked at Oliver. Oliver directly took the money and put it in Noah's hand. With a smile on his lips, "The elders are letting you win. Take it." Everyone couldn't help but joke and tease for a while. Sophia never held all-night parties. Seeing that the time was about right, everyone chatted with Sophia for a while and then said goodbye one after another. The servants had worked hard all day. Sophia told them to clean up the mess tomorrow. Ava and the others were already very sleepy. After seeing off the guests, they all went back to their own rooms. After Sophia went back to her room, Oliver also took Noah upstairs. Oliver let Noah use the bathroom in his room and went to the guest room to take a shower himself. After Noah finished bathing and came out, he happened to see the blanket on the small hall sofa that hadn't been put away. Noah walked over, folded the blanket, thought for a while, and then put the blanket back into the low cabinet. Oliver hadn't come back yet. After Noah dried his hair, he sat on the bed and was in a daze for a while. There were several books on Oliver's bedside table. Noah looked at the covers, and after confirming that they were just original versions of some European masterpieces and had nothing to do with work, he picked one to read. Since it wasn't his native language, it was a bit more difficult to read, but this was exactly the charm of original books. Noah unconsciously got absorbed in it, so that he didn't notice Oliver until he stood in front of him when he returned to the room. Noah quickly stood up and said, "When did you come back?" Looking at the book in his hand, he apologized. "I read your book without your permission." Oliver smiled and said, "Read as you like, even the documents in my study. If you're interested, you can also have a look." Noah laughed and said, "You're joking again." Oliver didn't say a word. He turned to look at the sofa and said, "Where's the blanket?" Noah was at a loss for words. "I put it away." Oliver looked at Noah with a smile. "Why are you in such a hurry to put it away?" "I still need it." Noah blushed and stammered. "You shouldn't sleep on the sofa anymore. It was my fault last night. I didn't know when you went to sleep. I didn't expect you to sleep on the sofa." Oliver smiled and sighed softly. "If I had come to the bed, I'm afraid you wouldn't have slept so well last night." This sentence was a bit ambiguous, but Oliver didn't plan to explain. Instead, he smiled faintly and said, "Moreover, without your permission, how could I just come over while you were asleep? It doesn't seem right, does it?" Noah took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart, and whispered, "Then please, come to the bed tonight." A faint smile appeared on Oliver's lips. Noah quickly added, "If we're seen sleeping separately again, it won't be good." Oliver smiled and said, "Okay." The next day, when the servant entered Oliver's room again, What they finally saw was the long-awaited scene of Oliver and his newly wedded lover sleeping in the same bed. Ava was still brooding over the fact that Oliver had slept on the sofa before. That day, she finally called the servant and asked. The servant told the truth. After repeated questioning, Ava gave up reluctantly. I told you so. Sophia put down the honey tea in her hand and smiled. For young couples, how could there be problems with their relationship? You're thinking too much. Ava forced a smile and said, I'm just afraid that there might be something wrong between the young couple. Sophia smiled and said, even if there is any problem, let them handle it by themselves. The current generation is different from our era, and they don't need or worry. Without waiting for Ava to speak, Sophia continued considerately at a leisurely pace. Moreover, we can't manage everything. Look, when Michael or Mia gets married, I probably won't have the energy to meddle in their affairs like you do. Ava forced a smile and was about to say something else, but then thought better of it and fell silent. Although Sophia's words were gentle, the implication was that she would discipline Ava's future daughter-in-law or son-in-law. Although Ava was a bit stupid, she could tell the pros and cons. Oliver and Noah would leave soon after meeting the relatives in the hometown. Even if she wanted to interfere, she wouldn't have much time. But it would be different for Michael and Mia, especially Michael. After getting married, he would probably still live in the Shin residence. If her son and daughter-in-law were under Sophia's supervision all day, it wouldn't be good. Ava forced a smile and said, You're right, sister-in-law. I was being nosy. Sophia smiled and then said to the servant called by Ava kindly, Oliver is married now. From now on, you don't need to go into his room to clean at a fixed time like before. In the past, we were afraid that the kids would be lazy and make no progress. So we went in to tidy up on time every morning to wake them up. But now it's different. It's not appropriate to barge in like that for a married person. Even if Oliver is used to it from childhood, other kids can't stand it. If Oliver doesn't open the door himself, don't go in. The servant nodded and left. Sophia smiled at Ava and said, When Michael gets married in the future, it should be the same, right? Ava nodded repeatedly and said, Yes, sister-in-law has thought it through. Sophia smiled and went back to her room. In the room of Oliver and Noah upstairs, the servant pushed in a small dining cart to set up breakfast. Oliver came out of the bathroom. Hearing what the servant said about Sophia's instructions, he smiled but said nothing and called Noah to have breakfast. Oliver only had Chinese food for breakfast, but he specially poured a glass of milk for Noah and said, It's high-calcium milk. You're still growing, so you need to pay attention to your diet. Noah smiled and said, My height has basically stopped growing since last year. Oliver raised his eyebrows, picked up a napkin to wipe the corner of his mouth and said, It's not that early. Pay more attention to rest. Maybe you can still grow a bit. Noah is 176 meters tall. He's not considered tall, but neither is he short. He's quite satisfied with his height and cheerfully says, Okay, I'll follow your advice. Oliver finishes his breakfast in a hurry, flips through the newspaper, and while reading the financial section, says, I've basically met all the relatives here, and I've visited most of the families I should. Do you have any other places you want to go? If not, we're almost ready to go back. Noah puts down his cup, looks at the closed door of the room, and whispers, Are we going back? Oliver smiles and says, Are you happy that you don't have to pretend anymore? Don't think too optimistically. Even when we go back, you still have to accompany me on some occasions. Speaking of which, some of the people you'll meet there are much more difficult to deal with than family members. Noah shakes his head and says, It doesn't matter. As long as you need me, I'll do my best to cooperate. However, have you received your property yet? It's been quite some time since the two of them got married, but Oliver hasn't mentioned that money again, and there haven't been any significant actions in his work. Noah is a bit confused. Oliver looks natural and says, We can't be too obvious. It wouldn't be good to announce our marriage 1 hour and then go to inherit the estate the next hour, right? Noah thinks about it and smiles too. Oliver continues to read the newspaper and then says, By the way, we still have to live together after we go back. Is that okay? Noah is stunned and says, Then the company might find out. An artist's address can't be hidden from the company. Usually, assistants and agents even have the keys to the artist's private residence. Noah just signed with the company and doesn't have a personal assistant yet, but he already has an agent. What should he say when the agent asks? Although Noah signed with Shin Group Media, except for Oliver and a couple of company executives, no one knows about Noah and Oliver's marriage. After signing, Noah hasn't contacted the company much. If the agent asks where he lives when they go back and Noah directly tells them the company's big boss's address, that scene, Noah swallows the last sip of milk and doesn't dare to think further. Oliver puts down the newspaper, seemingly not understanding why Noah would say that, and replies, "So what if they know? What's the problem?" Noah is speechless. Oliver seems to just understand and comforts him with a smile. "It's okay. They won't dare to talk nonsense. I'm the boss." And everyone signed a confidentiality agreement before joining the company. You can rest assured, what Noah actually wants to say is that the more people know, the greater the impact on Oliver after their divorce in the future. He doesn't care about himself, but for someone of Oliver's status, when he remarries in the future, he can't not consider his future wife's feelings. But for some reason, Noah doesn't want to mention the matter of their separation in the future. Since Oliver says it's okay, Noah just deceives himself into thinking it's okay. After breakfast, the two of them go downstairs to talk with Sophia. When they mention going back, Sophia nods and says, "It's time to go back. There are so many things over there, and we can't really play for a whole month." Sophia looks at Noah and smiles gently. It's just a pity for Noah. Oliver is too busy. You have to understand. Noah quickly replies, "It's okay, it's okay. I understand." Oliver teases with a smile, "Don't protect him too much. He can be busier than me when he gets busy." Sophia smiles and says, "I won't interfere in this. Anyway, you should understand and take care of each other." Sophia looks at Noah, sighs softly, and then says to Oliver, "I don't need to say much to you. Weigh everything yourself." Oliver's heart sinks, and then he smiles and says, "I know." Although Noah said it wasn't necessary, Oliver still spent a whole day accompanying him to stroll around his hometown. Both of them wore big sunglasses and scarves. They spent most of the time in the car or indoors, so no one recognized them. Noah earned his living expenses through part-time jobs when he was at school. He had never gone out to play before, neither having enough money nor time. Now he had a great time out. It was already late when they got back at night. Sophia had already gone to rest. The two of them tiptoed upstairs. The servant came out and told Oliver that someone had called for him. Oliver went to return the call, and Noah went back to his room to pack his things first. The two of them were going back tomorrow. Although they didn't have much luggage, they still needed to organize it. Noah packed his things into the suitcase. Then he took another small suitcase and neatly placed all the gifts he had received these days, as well as the red envelopes given to him by the elders of the Shin family, into the small suitcase. When Oliver returned to the room, he saw Noah kneeling on the carpet packing his things. He smiled and said, "I was just about to ask someone to pack the things, but you've already started. I know where things are when I pack them myself." Noah looked up. After making sure the room door was closed, he whispered to Oliver, "This box of things is what your family members gave me these days. I originally wanted to put them in your room, but I was afraid that your servants would tidy up your things and it would be bad if they found them. So I'd better take them back. You can decide how to deal with them after we get back." Oliver leaned against the bedpost. After hearing this, he looked at Noah half smiling and said, "You don't want them?" Noah thought for a while and said sincerely, "To be honest, I really want them. I almost hit a red envelope just now." Oliver burst out laughing. Noah smiled and said, "I'm not that lofty, but I'm not that despicable either. You've helped me enough. Now it's hard for me to take the gifts that your family members intended for your newly wedded spouse. You can handle them after we get back." Oliver smiled. He neither said yes nor no. Then he said, "Well, don't worry about these things for now. Go wash up and go to bed early. We have an early morning flight tomorrow and need to get up early." Noah nodded and pulled the two suitcases to one side. They didn't say much that night. The next day, they got up early. They had breakfast with the Shin family. Sophia was used to her son being away from home all year round and didn't show any signs of sadness at parting. She just reminded him of some things about the company. Mia, however, was quite reluctant to part with Noah and repeatedly emphasized that Noah should often contact her after going back. After breakfast, they took a short rest. Then they were sent to the airport by the Shin family's driver. Before boarding the plane, Oliver looked at Noah's phone and said indifferently, "Did Mia just add you on WeChat?" An alarm went off in Noah's mind. He immediately said, "I rarely play with my phone and don't often check WeChat." Oliver smiled with satisfaction and boarded the plane with Noah. Before landing, Noah thought for a while and then confirmed with Oliver, "Am I really going to live with you?" Oliver smiled and said, "It's best to do so." Noah frowned slightly and said, "What about the company?" Noah wasn't stupid. If the people in the company knew about his relationship with Oliver, his days in the company would undoubtedly be much easier in the future. But as an orphan, Noah had always known clearly that nothing was given to you for free. If the people in the company knew, he would surely be in the limelight and have a smooth future in the short term. But then what? After the inheritance was handed over and their relationship ended, how could he gain a foothold in the company? However, no matter what problems there were, they weren't problems in front of Oliver. Oliver thought for a while and said, "You don't need to deliberately tell others, but if others ask about our relationship, there's no need to lie. Just let things take their natural course." Noah thought for a while and then made up his mind. He had reached his current position thanks to Oliver. It wasn't excessive to sacrifice anything for Oliver. Besides, even if the people in the company were idle and had wild imaginations, they wouldn't associate him with Oliver, let alone ask about it. So it was okay. Noah nodded, agreeing with Oliver's statement. But soon, Noah realized how naive his thoughts on the plane had been. After landing and turning on their phones, both of them received many missed call notifications. This visit to relatives had left a lot of work in the company that urgently needed Oliver to handle. Shin Group Media also kept urging Noah to meet his agent. There was no time for them to rest. After a hasty farewell, they went to their respective companies. Noah's agent was Henry, a man in his mid-30s. He was obviously a bit dissatisfied that Noah had taken a 1-month leave right after signing the contract. Noah also knew that he was wrong for not coordinating with the company's schedule. He didn't explain much, seeing that Noah had a good attitude of apology. Henry gave a few scoldings and then stopped. Instead, he emphasized some details that Noah needed to pay attention to in the future, what he could do and what he couldn't do, and roughly explained them all. Noah nodded in agreement. Henry looked at Noah and said satisfactorily, "You're young. If you develop well in the future and seize opportunities, it's not impossible for you to become very popular. By the way, where are you living now? After some time, I'll talk to the company about getting you an assistant." Noah thought to himself that he knew this question would come up. Fortunately, he didn't have the key. Since Oliver lived there, Noah would never let outsiders in. Noah mentioned the residential area where Oliver lived but didn't disclose any more specific information. Henry looked at Noah suspiciously and asked, "You live there?" Noah nodded, feeling a bit uneasy at the same time. Was there something wrong? Henry remembered that it was a high-end residential area that had never been publicly sold. He recalled that when the senior management assigned Noah to him, they mentioned that this kid had some background. He was puzzled, but it wasn't appropriate to ask directly now. He could only ask the company's senior management later. Henry's attitude towards Noah became much milder. He said, "It's okay. Actually, there isn't much to do today. It's just that we meet and I'll take you to meet some of the company's management. Come on." Henry took Noah to meet people and also discussed the next work plan with him. Unconsciously, they had spent a lot of time. The days were short in autumn. When they finished, it was already dark. Henry looked at the time and said, "Okay, that's it for today. I'll see you out." The two got into the elevator. Henry mumbled, "You've just joined the company and don't have much work yet. The higher-ups haven't said anything about getting you a car. I'll try to get it for you. The main thing is to get you some announcements first." Noah nodded and said, "I'll work hard." When they reached the first-floor hall, they saw that it was raining outside. Henry wanted to win over this young artist and also show off the new car the company had assigned to him. He said, "It's dark and raining. Come on, take my car today." Noah was afraid that if Henry sent him back, he would run into Oliver. He declined, saying, No, it's too much trouble for you." Henry was about to say something else, but when he glanced at the hall entrance, he immediately fell silent. He forced a smile and said, Isn't this Mr. Oliver?" Oliver was holding a black umbrella in his hand. He nodded slightly to Henry, then turned to look at Noah and said, "It's raining. I'm here to pick you up and take you home." Noah clearly remembered that just 10 hours ago, on the plane, Oliver had told him in person that they should just let their relationship develop naturally. Looking at the person in front of him, Noah's face was blank and his heart was in turmoil. Was this what Oliver meant by letting things develop naturally? The two receptionists weren't very sure before and had been whispering. Now, seeing Henry's reaction, they were sure that the person who came was the big boss. They immediately called the company's senior management through the internal line. Noah thought it was over. He imagined the scene where the company's senior management he had just met and received advice from would run down and stand in a row. His legs immediately went a bit weak. Oliver said to Henry, "I don't have any serious business here. Tell them not to come down. Noah, let's go." Henry finally came to his senses. Seeing that Oliver was about to leave, he naturally didn't dare to stop him and could only follow up and say, Yes, Mr. Oliver. You take your time," fearing that the senior management would come down soon. Noah anxiously and pitifully said, "Yes, let's go." Oliver smiled, took Noah's hand, and led him out of the company's main entrance. Oliver stepped out of the automatic door first and opened an umbrella. It was raining quite heavily. Noah moved closer to Oliver and was directly embraced by Oliver around the shoulder. Fortunately, Oliver's car had already driven in. The two didn't walk far. After stepping down the steps, they got into the car. In the hall, the company's senior management who rushed down saw through the glass door the scene where Oliver opened the car door for Noah and held the umbrella for him to get into the car first. The face of the senior management of the company turned a bit green. He turned to Henry and asked, "That is?" Henry swallowed hard and said, "Mr. Oliver." Oliver's car drove away in the rain. The senior management looked at the assistant and awkwardly said, "It is said that Mr. Oliver's newly wedded wife." The assistant carefully replied, "Just came of age this year." The senior management was still not willing to give up and said, "Just now I asked Noah how old he was, and he said." The assistant became even more flustered and said, 18 years old, recalling the scene where he had just boasted to Noah about his own abilities, how many outstanding artists he had trained, and told Noah to work hard and that he would promote him in the future. The senior management's brain suddenly lacked blood supply. The senior management looked at Henry, pointed at him, opened his mouth but couldn't say a word. After a while, he said, regarding the wife, "You, pay attention to yourself." Then he left lacking confidence. In the car, Noah hesitated for a moment and asked, "Uncle Oliver, why did you come here? If it was really just to bring an umbrella, anyone could have been sent." Oliver didn't have to come here himself at all. "Oliver, I really came to pick you up. You don't have a car and haven't been to my home. The weather is like this. I'm worried about you." Oliver also knew that he had been too obvious this time and then added, "Of course, I know that some of your colleagues may know our relationship now, but even if they don't know today, they will know sooner or later. There's no point in trying to hide it." Oliver looked at Noah and said, "If you live with me, it's only a matter of time before the people in the company know our relationship. Does it make a difference whether they know today or tomorrow?" Noah thought for a while and realized that what Oliver said seemed to make some sense. Also, Oliver corrected, "Noah, I've reminded you many times, when you're outside, call me by my name or call me sir." Noah glanced at the driver in front, subconsciously touched his lips, and apologized. "Sorry, I forgot." "Don't let your guard down just because you're not in your hometown." Oliver gently looked at Noah. What often ruins a person is not a large army but such small details. Letting people know about the fake marriage would indeed bring a lot of trouble to Oliver. Noah felt guilty and said, "Yes, I was wrong. Don't apologize, just be more careful in the future." Oliver smoothly regained the initiative in the conversation and was in a good mood. He also took a little advantage of Noah, by the way. If you let it slip again in the future and someone asks, just say it's a little fun between us husbands. Do you understand? Noah's face flushed instantly and he said hesitantly, "Yes." Oliver smiled and leaned back on the seat, closing his eyes and pretending to sleep. It was getting late and the weather was bad. After having a meal outside, the two of them went straight home. Oliver's house here is an independent villa, since it's a private residence and doesn't usually receive guests. He didn't hire servants like in his hometown to put on a show. He just hired a housekeeping service. The cleaner comes to clean the house after Oliver goes to work in the morning. The house is empty at other times. Now that Noah is here, there are only the two of them at night. Without outsiders around, it meant they didn't have to pretend anymore. Noah looked at his suitcase placed in Oliver's bedroom and asked doubtfully, "Here, do we still need to rest together?" Noah frowned slightly as he looked at the two sets of pajamas placed side by side on the big bed in Oliver's room. Oliver had just changed his clothes. Hearing this, he walked into the room and took a look. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Noah's doubtful look. He smiled calmly as usual and said, "Of course not. The driver who brought the luggage back didn't know and just moved your things here. It's okay. I'll show you your room." Noah instantly felt a bit embarrassed. He had been over-imagining. Oliver pretended not to notice and walked over to pick up Noah's suitcase. He took Noah to the guest room next door. Oliver turned on the light and handed him the remote control switch of the room. He said, "There are clothes bought for you earlier in the closet. Take a look. If the size doesn't fit, tell me. There are several sets of pajamas and bathrobes in this closet. Also in your size. If you feel uncomfortable, you can change them. I just showed you the bathroom. Is there anything else you're not clear about?" Noah shook his head. Oliver spread out his hand with a key in his palm and said, "This is the key to the house. The password is written on a piece of paper and placed on your bedside. I make 'em home late when I'm busy. Can you take care of yourself?" Noah took the key. The key was newly made and the edges were a bit rough. He nodded and said, "Yes, you can rest assured." Oliver smiled and said, "I'm so busy that I'm confused. How could you not take care of yourself?" "Well, go to bed early. I'll go back to my room." Oliver closed the door for Noah and went back to his own room. Oliver's room was the master bedroom, more than twice as big as Noah's guest room and in a better location. Standing in front of the French window, one could see the whole view of the artificial lake at night. Oliver stood in front of the window for a while, then turned around and opened the closet in his room. Inside, there were neatly stacked pajamas in Noah's size, exactly the same as those in the guest room, and even more. Oliver closed the closet door, sat back on the chair and lit a cigarette for himself. He was still too hasty. Going too far is as bad as not going far enough. Noah wasn't stupid. If he chased too closely, Noah would definitely notice his intentionality and eagerness. Oliver took a puff of the cigarette and recalled the days they spent in the Shin residence. From the moment they stepped into the Shin residence, the scenes were replayed in Oliver's mind, accurate to the minute. Every detail was infinitely magnified and analyzed in Oliver's mind. Every expression and every word of Noah was filtered and screened again and again in Oliver's mind. Oliver extinguished the cigarette in his hand in the crystal ashtray. He felt that he could loosen the string in his hand a little. Oliver got up to get his phone and dialed Mateo's number. Notify them about the meeting that was postponed before and ask them to make preparations in advance. "I'll be there on time." "Yes, book the ticket now." When Mateo brought up the matter of the inheritance again, Oliver said indifferently, "I don't really need that money anyway. Just leave it there for now." After thinking for a while, Oliver instructed, "You don't need to go with me this time. Stay here and keep an eye on the media side of Shin Group." "Yes, wait for my news at any time." After hanging up the phone, Oliver started to pack his luggage by himself. After packing it up, Oliver carried the suitcase downstairs and, inadvertently, saw the small suitcase that Noah had sent back. Oliver slowly walked up to the small suitcase and opened it. The gifts that the Shin family had given to Noah were all in sight. Except for Sophia. Everyone thought that he and Noah were really married, so they were quite generous. There were quite a few valuable things among the gifts for Noah. The total value of this box of things was astonishing. There were quite a few red envelopes at the bottom of the box. Oliver remembered what Noah had said before about almost wanting to hide one. He couldn't help smiling. Oliver closed the small suitcase, thought for a moment, took out the thickest red envelope from the many red envelopes, and put the rest back as they were. Oliver opened the red envelope, took another large envelope to put the money in, wrote a few words on the envelope, and put it in a prominent place in the entrance hall. The next day, when Noah woke up, Oliver had been out for a long time. There was a text message from Oliver on Noah's phone, saying that he was going to Shanghai for a meeting and would be back in 2 days. Noah knew that Oliver was busy with work, so he didn't think much about it. The text message also mentioned at the end that he had left something for him and it was placed in the entrance hall. Noah was not used to the bed and went to sleep late last night. He was still a bit dazed at the moment. He took his phone and went downstairs to look for the thing that Oliver had left for him in the entrance hall. A large envelope was placed on the cabinet in the entrance hall. Noah picked it up and looked at it. The corners of his mouth slowly curled up. Noah felt warm in his heart and was in a great mood. He hummed a song and went to wash up. There were 2 strong and forceful lines written by Oliver on the bulging envelope, "Pocket money to the honest Noah." After a simple breakfast, Noah received a call from his agent Henry, saying that there was an announcement and asking him to go to the company. Henry spoke very politely. He was really inviting him. After hanging up the phone, Noah thought about the scene last night and felt quite overwhelmed. Henry didn't make it very clear on the phone. Noah didn't know exactly what was going on. After thinking for a while, he tidied up his hair a little, put on a windbreaker, put on big sunglasses, and went out. When Noah arrived at the company, Henry was already there. There was also another big agent in the company beside him. Noah stepped forward to say hello. Both of them were very polite. That big agent was okay. It was the first time he had met Noah, so there wouldn't be the embarrassing situation of Henry being haughty at first and then humble later. Henry still looked a bit embarrassed. He said a couple of words and then shut up. Then the other big agent started to tell Noah about it. The drama Meeting by Chance that you filmed before passed the review last month. The big agent smiled and congratulated Noah. It's not easy. The review of costume dramas has been stricter in recent years. But you're quite lucky. It was hardly edited at all. I've also watched the content. Your performance in it is very good. It's very outstanding and eye-catching. The senior agent couldn't stop praising. Noah was caught off guard for a moment. Familiar at First Sight was a costume drama he filmed last year. In the play, he played a swordsman raised by the villain. When he was in his teens, he was sent to the side of the male lead as an undercover agent. The young swordsman was gradually influenced by the male lead and had the hope of living a normal life. However, he couldn't ignore the kindness of the villain who raised him, so he was very conflicted. In the end, he took the blame for the villain and died by his own sword. He was a rather tragic character. Actually, he had quite a few scenes, but he wasn't even considered the second male lead. Since it has passed the review, the publicity should keep up. We've contacted the production crew and set the schedule. There are several announcements for you to attend. Don't worry, you won't be left on the sidelines when you go. The senior agent was confident. We'll also support the publicity on our side. It's a win-win situation for everyone. Noah understood that the production crew had no plan to include him in the publicity. There was no such clause in the contract either. This was completely negotiated by the company on his behalf. Noah quickly stood up to express his gratitude. He had never had any serious works. Usually, he took on advertisements, and in the dramas he acted in, he always played the third or fourth male lead. The production crew rarely included him in the publicity. Even if they did, he was just a filler. To get more exposure, one needed good works. The company chose this drama where he had more scenes to start the publicity, which took all aspects into consideration. The senior agent waved his hand with a smile. Since the company has signed you, of course, we hope you'll develop better and better. Well, Henry will tell you the specific details. There's a program to be recorded tomorrow. It will be aired when the TV series is halfway through. Then we'll carry out another round of publicity. Once you gain popularity, everything will be easier in the future. Noah thanked repeatedly. Thank you for the company's arrangement. I'll cooperate with the publicity efforts, the senior agent said to Henry with a smile. Tell Noah the details. You have the experience. You'll take Noah there tomorrow. You know how to take care of your own artist. After the senior agent finished speaking, he left. After this conversation, Henry was no longer so restrained. He smiled and said to Noah, okay, let's talk about the details. Noah was going to appear on a talk show. This program covered a wide range of topics. Sometimes it was an interview with a single artist or singer, and sometimes a production crew or a team would come. Most of the time, it was mainly for publicity. This female host is quite good at controlling the atmosphere. We've specifically asked her to let you speak more, of course, on the premise that you won't overshadow the leading actors. Henry thought for a while and added, however, the logic of her questions is really. Henry didn't continue. Noah roughly understood what Henry meant and said, don't worry, no matter how abrupt the topic changes. I won't show any surprise or confusion. I understand this. Henry was relieved and smiled. That's good. You can complain in normal times, but it's not good to show it during the recording. Not only will you offend people, but the effect will also be bad. Noah nodded to indicate that he understood. Henry thought for a while and said uneasily, you filmed this drama a long time ago, right? Noah replied, it's been a year. Henry said, then go back and look through the old scripts tonight. Don't forget the plot or the name of the character you played. It'll be embarrassing if you get stuck when talking about it. Noah smiled. Henry's suggestion was very practical. He promised, okay, I'll go back and read it carefully tonight. Henry then thought it was wrong and changed his words. Forget it. Don't take up your time with Mr. Oliver. Noah was stunned. Only then did Henry realize what he had said. The atmosphere in the room instantly became very delicate. Noah coughed and said embarrassedly, He went to Shanghai for a meeting. Henry was even more embarrassed than Noah. He stammered, oh, I see. There was nothing else to discuss. Henry quickly told Noah what he needed to know and then left in a hurry. Noah covered his face silently, feeling extremely embarrassed. Fortunately, there was no more work that day, so the two didn't have to interact anymore. By the next day when they met again, they had almost forgotten about it. Backstage, Henry handed the script to Noah. The makeup artist was applying makeup to Noah. Noah squinted his eyes and flipped through the script. Henry smiled and said, you don't have to read it. There are only questions for the lead actor on it. Nothing for you. Noah's makeup artist came with the company. Hearing this, she said dissatisfiedly, really? Noah smiled and said, it's normal. It's okay. I reviewed it last night. There shouldn't be any problems. Besides, it's a recorded broadcast. If I answer badly, at most it will be edited out. It's nothing. Henry was quite relieved. When he first learned about the relationship between Noah and Oliver, he was really worried for a long time. He was afraid that Noah would be too difficult to deal with, but after a few days of contact, he found that Noah was actually quite easy to get along with. If he hadn't known in advance, he would never have thought that Noah was the newly-wed young husband of Oliver, who was being talked about so much outside. Henry wasn't the only one who was surprised. There were others too. After applying eye makeup, the makeup artist adjusted the light to contour Noah's face. Looking down, she saw Noah's phone screen and casually said, "Oh, isn't this Mr. Oliver?" Noah was like a thief who had been caught. He immediately exited the news app and forced a smile, saying, "Ah, really?" Only Henry and a few top-level executives in the company knew about the relationship between Noah and Oliver. The makeup artist was unaware. Without stopping her work, she said lazily while working, "Yes. Is Mr. Oliver going to Shanghai for a meeting?" Noah felt guilty. He picked up his phone and smiled, saying, "Yes, probably." The makeup artist looked at Henry and suddenly smiled gossipily. "Do you know? Our big boss, Mr. Oliver, got married last month." The makeup artist opened her eyes wide in disbelief and said, "Don't tell me you don't know." "Oh my God, does Noah know?" Noah looked like he wanted to die. He said, I've heard a bit." The makeup artist gave a sly smile and lowered her voice, saying, "I heard that the big boss's young husband is just an adult, only 18 years old. Do you know?" Noah clenched his fists and tried to look natural, saying, "It seems so." Inside, Noah was on the verge of tears. He really didn't understand why everyone kept talking about his age. He was only 16 years younger than Oliver. It wasn't that much, right? Moreover, Oliver looks young and doesn't seem to be any different from a 30-year-old. It's just that he has a stronger aura, but overall he is still very young. Noah hypnotizes himself that he isn't much younger than Uncle Oliver. "Don't lower your head." The makeup artist adjusted the light again and looked full of gossip. "I really don't understand. These big stars who get married these years all have the cutest age difference. Is it really cute? Is it?" "I don't think so." Noah forced a laugh and said, "Just so cute." Henry opened his mouth, wanting to say something but not daring to. He was so uncomfortable that he felt itchy all over, like a drug addict having a fit. The makeup artist picked up the loose powder to set Noah's makeup and said with a mysterious smile, "You know, the big boss and his young wife have such a big age difference that they're almost from different generations. Do you think they can be harmonious in bed?" Mr. Oliver is only 34. At this age, a man, his young lover must be exhausted by him. "Well, what do you think?" Noah's long and thin fingers almost dug into the armrest of the chair. He held back for a few seconds and then said, "Sister, I don't really want to talk about it anymore." The makeup artist laughed for a long time, then shook her head and said, Sorry, I forgot you're still young." Okay, I won't talk about it anymore." "Hey, why is your face so red? Don't be like this. I'm not done yet. You're affecting my makeup. What on earth is wrong with you?" Henry kept complaining, while saying, "I'm going out for a smoke." He ran away. Noah was left in the dressing room, feeling extremely frustrated. He deeply regretted being so impulsive and wondered why he had to look at the news. After cooling down the temperature on his face a bit, Noah adjusted his state and waited for the people from the crew to come and inform him. After a year, Noah had transformed from an 18th-tier actor with no company and no agent into a rising star currently being promoted by Shin Group Media. There had been a qualitative leap in both treatment and other aspects. In the past, if Noah had followed the crew to get on-site announcements, it was impossible for him to have his own private dressing room. He would probably have to share the crew's makeup artists with other insignificant people. Not only would he have to wait endlessly, but his schedule would also be rushed and boring, and he wouldn't even have a place to rest. Now, everything was taken care of by his agent. Everyone was polite to him, and there was also a special lounge prepared for him here. The situation was completely different. The more Noah thought about it, the more grateful he was to Oliver. "You used to act as an extra?" The makeup artist looked at Noah in surprise and shook her head. That must have been really hard. Noah didn't mind talking about his embarrassing past experiences. Instead, he was quite enthusiastic and told some interesting stories about his days as an extra. The makeup artist laughed so hard that her stomach hurt. Noah smiled and said, "It was okay. I learned a lot at that time. I'm quite content." The makeup artist shook her head and sighed, saying, "Don't worry, our company has always taken good care of the artists. By the way, where's Henry?" Henry came in to call Noah. The people on the crew side were almost ready too, and Henry asked Noah to meet up with everyone. Thanks to the high-profile promotion when Shin Group Media signed Noah, everyone knew that Noah's current status was extraordinary. When he came, they chatted and greeted him warmly. After chatting about their recent situations for a while, some took group photos and posted them on Weibo, and some even suggested getting together later. After chatting for a while, the people from the program team came to invite everyone to the studio. As expected, The program started by showing the trailer of Familiar at First Sight. The female host briefly introduced it. The male and female leads of the crew, along with Noah and 2 other people, greeted the camera in turn. After the female host had a brief chat with each person, she started to interview the male and female leads one by one, and occasionally asked a few questions to the 3 supporting actors. The actress playing the female lead was nice. She got along well with Noah during the filming. She threw the topic to Noah twice during the interview. Noah didn't elaborate too much. He answered concisely and then returned the topic to the female lead. He handled it very well. In the second half of the recording, the host started to pay attention to the 3 supporting actors. While chatting about the drama, she asked the supporting actors questions one by one. When it was Noah's turn, the female host smiled and said, "I just watched Noah's clips as the young swordsman. That conflicting look in his eyes really amazed me. If I remember correctly, you were just starting college when you filmed this drama, right?" Noah smiled and said, "Yes, I filmed it half a year after I entered college." "Oh, you weren't even an adult at that time," the female host exclaimed in admiration. "I noticed that there was a romantic plot in the drama. Does your character like his senior sister?" Noah nodded and said, "Yes. In the drama, the character spent half of his childhood with his senior sister. His master taught him martial arts, and his senior sister taught him how to be a good person. It's really not easy to perform a romantic plot so delicately at such a young age." The female host smiled and then asked, "What about in real life? Do you have someone you like?" Everyone laughed and looked at Noah teasingly. According to the usual practice, he should have said no at this time, and then the host would have asked what kind of person he liked. But Noah thought that Mia and the others might be watching the program. If he said no on the program, it might make those who knew the truth think too much, and it wouldn't be respectful to Oliver either. He hesitated for a moment and then nodded, blushing with embarrassment. The female host was obviously surprised that Noah admitted it. She smiled at the camera and said, "Sure enough, he's still young." The audience at the scene all laughed. The female host gave Noah a mysterious smile and asked, "Since you're so honest, I won't ask too deeply, but if I just let this topic go, the director and the producer will definitely talk to me after the program. Let me just ask a simple question." "Okay." Noah smiled helplessly and nodded. "Please go ahead." The female host thought for a moment and then smiled. "What aspects of the person attracted you?" Noah hesitated for a moment and said, "Personal charm, the way of being a person, how to deal with people, in short, in all aspects." By the end, Noah's face had turned red. Everyone laughed and made a few jokes to brush off the topic. The 2-hour recording was quickly completed. After finishing work, Henry went to have a polite chat with the radio station director and then took Noah out. Henry was very satisfied with Noah's performance just now and kept praising him in the car. Since there was nothing to do at the company, Henry directly sent Noah home. After getting home, Noah was still thinking about the recording just now. He felt a little uneasy. He didn't notice it at that time, but when he thought about it later, he felt a little regretful. What if Oliver came back and asked about it? Oliver would be back tomorrow. Noah's face inexplicably flushed again. He just hoped that Oliver wouldn't be interested in his program. Otherwise, Noah hugged his head in annoyance. He could almost imagine the expression and tone of Oliver when asking him, with a smile in his eyes but making people terribly afraid. Noah originally had full respect and gratitude for Oliver, but after staying in the hometown of the Shin family in the south for this period of time, something had changed. The gratitude became even deeper. Noah knew clearly that, without Oliver, he wouldn't even be able to follow others to run announcements now. But the original respect had turned into both respect and fear. Noah rarely feared anything, but now he was really a little afraid of Oliver, especially when Oliver got close to him. He would be so nervous that his tone of speaking would change. Noah actually knew in his heart that Oliver had been extremely kind to him. It was completely unreasonable to be afraid of Oliver. When they were in the Shin family, although they had to share a room, Oliver had always been very gentlemanly, giving him enough space and freedom and never forcing him to do anything. He also took good care of him in daily interactions, helped him out of trouble and taught him how to play cards. Noah suddenly shook his head. The faint scent of men's perfume and the light aroma of tobacco on Oliver seemed to be right beside him. When Noah came to his senses, he found that he had unconsciously walked in front of Oliver's room. Oliver's room door was open, facing Noah without any defense. Since the owner was not at home, Noah couldn't go in, but he still stood in front of Oliver's bedroom for a while, looking around through the door. It was not until he felt hungry that he remembered to go downstairs to prepare dinner for himself. Before leaving, Oliver had someone buy some ingredients. Noah made a simple egg noodle for himself. After being full, he was very satisfied. Just as he was about to go upstairs, the home phone rang. Noah had heard Oliver say that few people knew this landline at home, so the person who would call at this time. Noah tried his best to ignore his pounding heart and slowly picked up the receiver. Hello? Hello? Is this Noah? It was Mateo's voice. Noah was stunned for a moment and quickly said, Yes, it's me. Are you looking for Mr. Oliver? Over there. Mateo's voice was gentle. He said, No, it's Mr. Oliver who asked me to contact you. But your phone has been off, so I took the liberty to call here at home. Noah remembered that he had turned off his phone before recording the program and quickly apologized. Mateo didn't mind at all and said, It doesn't matter. Did you record a program today? Noah nodded and said, Yes. Alarm bells rang in his heart. Had Oliver already known that he had someone he liked? Mateo gave a and said, I guess that you probably turned off your phone for this reason. Well, Mr. Oliver's schedule has changed. He definitely won't be back tomorrow. If you have any needs or anything to do, just tell me. Noah blinked and didn't react at first. He said then, When will Mr. Oliver probably come back? Mateo politely said, It depends on Mr. Oliver's arrangement. I'm not quite sure. After hanging up the phone, Noah gave a self-mocking smile. He had been being self-indulgent. It was still early. Noah couldn't fall asleep even if he lay down. He turned on the TV to watch a program and unconsciously checked the news on his phone while watching. Oliver is a person who doesn't mind the camera much. All along, because he is young, unmarried and wealthy, he is also very topical. Whether it's financial news or tabloid gossip, his figure can often be seen. Noah entered the keyword, and first a series of news about Oliver's meeting that he saw before recording the program came out. In the photo, Oliver was wearing a suit and looked serious. He couldn't be more of an elite. Noah sighed softly and let out his 10,000th admiration. His sponsor was really amazing. Noah refreshed the page, wanting to find the clearest news photo to save. Just after the update was completed, a freshly baked news appeared at the top of the screen. Oliver, the current head of the Shin Group, appeared on the bund with a strange woman. Noah's fingertips trembled slightly, and he refreshed again. Oliver appeared on the bund with his female companion. They interacted constantly while shopping. The female companion is suspected to be the newlywed wife of the Shin family. Oliver's young wife made her first appearance. The physiognomy master said that she has a rare face that brings good luck to her husband. Starting from Oliver, let's take stock of several pairs of the cutest age gap couples in recent years. Noah took a deep breath and kind of understood why Oliver said he couldn't come back first. Noah rubbed his eyes and silently exited the news interface. In a hotel room in Shanghai, Oliver turned on his computer, watching the news while listening to Mateo's phone call. What did he say? Hearing that you can't go back first. His tone was obviously a bit disappointed, but he was still very polite and courteous. He also asked when you would come back. A faint smile appeared on Oliver's lips. What was your answer? Over there. Mateo said, as you instructed. I told him it's uncertain and depends on your arrangement. Mateo then told Oliver about the segment of Noah talking about the person he likes during the program recording today. After hearing this, Oliver was stunned for a moment, shook his head and smiled, then let out a soft sigh. Mateo thought he had done something wrong and quickly said, Did I handle it inappropriately? No. Oliver closed his computer. Cancel the flight the day after tomorrow and change it to tomorrow. I'll go back tomorrow night. Also, prepare for me to clarify that piece of gossip just now. Mateo immediately agreed. Yes. The next day, Noah still had work. He went to the company early. Henry was helping him look at the script. When he saw Noah coming, he stood up to greet him. Henry saw that there was a faint bluish tint under Noah's eyes and more or less understood what was going on. He also saw Oliver's gossip yesterday. Henry felt a bit indignant for Noah, just after they got married. It's okay that Oliver didn't take Noah to Shanghai, but he even got involved with someone else there. What's even more hateful is that he didn't clean up his mess and caused a scandal to embarrass Noah. Henry secretly felt glad for Noah that not many people knew about their relationship now. He thought for a while and carefully said, Well, you're also in the circle, so you must know that some entertainment journalists these days will write anything just to get attention. I read that news last night. It's obviously fake at a glance. There isn't even a single frontal photo. Who knows who that is? Noah knew that Henry was trying to comfort him and felt a warm feeling in his heart. When they first met, Henry was actually a bit arrogant and even looked down on him a bit. But after getting in touch with him for these days, Noah found that Henry was actually a nice guy with a kind heart. Noah smiled and said, Thank you, Henry. It's okay. Didn't you ask me to come and look at the script? Henry took out several scripts for Noah to read. These were given to me by the higher-ups the other day. You can take a look first. After you finish, let's discuss which one to take. In my opinion, we should shoot this historical drama. Those two modern dramas are also okay, but such dramas are easily forgotten. And since they're not the leading roles, there's not much point in shooting them. You can have a look first. Noah was incredulous. Is it me who gets to choose the scripts? Henry gave a smug smile. Previously, it was always the scripts that chose you, right? Don't worry, you can choose any of these, and you'll be able to take on the role. You can start reading first. Although they're all supporting roles, I've carefully selected them. It's not the time to strive for the leading role yet. Henry was very pleased with himself. But there will be a day. Now that the timing isn't right, you can play some likable supporting roles first and take it slow. Noah nodded, sat down to read the scripts. The two discussed for a long time. Henry also consulted another senior agent in the company. Finally, they decided to shoot the historical drama. During the discussion, Henry was called out twice. When he came back the second time, his face looked a bit worse. Noah frowned slightly. What's wrong? This, Henry forced a laugh. Just received the news that there's another young actor in our company vying for the role in this historical drama. The higher-ups didn't tell me who it is. They just said, it might not be a sure thing. Henry had just said that Noah could choose any of the roles. But in just a short while, he changed his tune. Noah thought for a moment and more or less guessed what was going on. Noah was just a young actor who had just entered the circle. The only role he could show off, the young swordsman, hadn't been released yet, and its response was unknown. He almost had no works. For an actor like this, without the company's support, how could he choose any role he wanted? The company's sudden change in attitude was naturally related to yesterday's news about Oliver. Noah looked at Henry, seeing Henry avoiding his eyes. He smiled and said, it's okay. I'll try to fight for it. If I can't get it, it's okay. There's nothing I can do. Henry forced a smile. Yes, that's good. Noah pursed his lips and then said, it might not be appropriate to say this, but I still want to explain to you. Noah took a light breath and said, I and Mr. Oliver are indeed legally married. I'm not the third party. Henry suddenly felt relieved. Just now, the company's senior management had indirectly asked him which one between Noah and the person in the news was Ava and which one was the mistress. Oliver hadn't clearly stated his relationship with Noah to the people in the company. Everyone's guess about Noah's identity came from the time when Oliver came to pick him up in the rain. But after the news came out, people were a bit unsure. That incident actually couldn't prove anything. But if everyone guessed wrong and the one who accompanied Oliver to the meeting in Shanghai was the real Ava, then if the company was so kind to Noah now, once Ava found out about this mistress, she might take her anger out on the company. None of the senior management wanted to cause this trouble. After all, for now, the one in Shanghai seems more like the real Ava. Henry felt embarrassed for Noah and didn't say it directly, but Noah still guessed. Henry forced a laugh and said, what are you talking nonsense about? No one thinks so. Noah said, I don't want you to think that I'm the one who breaks up other people's marriages. Henry waved his hand. Come on. Don't mention this. You're just overthinking. Read the scripts first. We'll talk about other things later. But you, Noah looked up. Henry chose his words carefully and said, when you get back, have a good communication with Mr. Oliver. This kind of thing. Anyway, it's not good. Noah didn't say a word, feeling embarrassed. He couldn't tell Henry that, in fact, he didn't have the position to communicate with anyone. Before he knew it, Noah spent the whole day in the company. With Noah's guarantee, Henry became much more confident. He firmly insisted on competing for this role. Coincidentally, another young actor in the company also took a fancy to this role. The two agents seemed calm on the surface, but each had their own plans in mind. The other agent secretly contacted the crew and offered to lower the actor's salary. When Henry got the news, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood and cursed into the phone. How much is his salary anyway? He still dares to talk about lowering it. Who cares about his meager salary? He's crazy about becoming famous. Noah was both amused and helpless. After Henry hung up the phone, he smiled and said, come on, Henry, don't take it too seriously. If it doesn't work out, just let it go. Haven't you already contacted the director? Just wait for the news. This is clearly on purpose. Henry was so angry that his face turned red. He unscrewed a bottle of water and gulped it down. What kind of atmosphere is this? Noah was about to comfort Henry again when his phone suddenly rang. Henry signaled that he was okay. Noah found his phone from a pile of scripts and was stunned. The caller was Mr. Oliver. Noah answered the phone. On the other end, Oliver's voice was low and still gentle. Noah, The grievances that didn't surface last night when he saw Oliver's scandal, or today when he was questioned by the company's senior management for being cold, all rushed out after these 2 words. Noah didn't want Oliver to notice, lest it would make his situation even more embarrassing. He tried his best to keep his tone steady, smiled and said, "Sir?" On the phone, Oliver said, "I'm back." Noah didn't react at first. Mateo had said yesterday that Oliver probably wouldn't be back soon. On the other end of the phone, Oliver said, "I'm already at the company. Where are you? I'll come and pick you up." Noah was completely stunned. Henry was still angry. He looked back at Noah. Seeing that he had been in a daze after hanging up the phone, he wondered, "What's wrong?" Noah said blankly, "Mr. Oliver is at the company. He'll come up right away." Henry stared with his mouth open and was also stunned. This time, Oliver didn't wait for Noah downstairs. Instead, he directly took the special elevator. After getting off the elevator, all the company employees were shocked to see Oliver. They didn't know why the big boss, who had just had a scandal in Shanghai, would suddenly appear here. Oliver ignored everyone and walked straight in. He directly pushed open the door of Noah's lounge. Noah stared blankly at Oliver, with 7 parts of timidity, 2 parts of embarrassment, and 1 part of awkwardness in his eyes. Oliver looked at him and suddenly regretted it. Regret aside, the play had already begun and had to go on. Oliver walked up to Noah and asked softly, "Did you see the news?" When he saw Oliver again, Noah suddenly felt a sourness in his eyes. He nodded and said, "Yes, I saw it." Oliver rubbed his temples tiredly and sighed. "I probably offended the entertainment reporters in Shanghai at some point." Noah looked at Oliver in confusion. Oliver was helpless and said, "Mia has also been in Shanghai these days to participate in some kind of event. It would be okay if I didn't know about it, but Mom specifically told me to go and see her, take her around and buy her some things." Noah was stunned. "Mia?" Oliver nodded. "She also bought you 2 pieces of clothing and asked me to bring them back to you. Originally, I wanted to wait for her to finish the event and bring her here to play for a few days, but with this kind of news breaking out, I thought about it and decided to come back first." Now it was all explained clearly why Oliver had suddenly delayed his return time and why there was another Oliver's wife. Noah had mixed feelings. It was actually Mia. Henry, who was looking for a chance to slip out, summoned up his courage and asked after hearing the conversation between the two, "Who is Mia?" Noah couldn't help laughing. "She is Mr. Oliver's sister." Henry's eyes lit up instantly, while saying, "Please make yourself at home, Mr. Oliver." He walked outside and thoughtfully closed the door. Oliver lowered his head slightly, looked at Noah and said, "It's all my fault." Noah quickly shook his head. "It has nothing to do with you. Actually, you didn't need to explain it to me. Really. After all, the 2 of them weren't really married." And Noah knew that he had no right to inquire about anything of Oliver's. Oliver looked at the remaining uneasiness in Noah's eyes and the obvious look of relief on his face, and for no reason, suddenly said, "Noah, I'm sorry." With the misunderstanding cleared up, Noah was actually in a much better mood. He repeatedly said that it was okay, but Oliver's face was looking worse and worse. Finally, he took a step forward and gently hugged Noah into his arms, repeating, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Noah was startled. Since the 2 of them had a fake marriage, it was the first time Oliver had hugged him, and it was a very tight hug, coupled with the apology. It really didn't seem like something Oliver would do. Noah opened his eyes wide, pitifully raised and then lowered his 2 hands, and finally didn't dare to hug Oliver back. Oliver slowly let go of Noah. After a long while, he let out a long sigh and smiled. "Sorry, I lost my composure just now." Noah quickly shook his head to indicate that it was okay. Oliver looked at the script on Noah's desk and said, "Have you been working these 2 days?"